Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GnWC Weekly. It is Thursday, May 26th. It's right after SmackDown. And I'm the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy.
And I'm Warner Wolf. And if you had Adam Rose versus Cody Rhodes at Money in the Bank, you lost.
Well, that's just sad.
Let's go to the videotape.
That's nearly... Why would you... That's Angry Larry, and I'm the Duke. How you doing, Larry?
I am, I'm pretty cordial. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing well, even. So, let's just rock right into it, sir. Let's get the news and notes out of the way, and then we'll move on to some other stuff.
Yeah, so unless I totally missed it, I'm expecting, like everyone else, to be some more firings tomorrow in the WWE or releasing of contracts, so to speak, the final termination period before they start this brand split, which we'll talk about in a little while. But released this week officially were Adam Rose, Cody Rhodes, and Eden Styles, who all requested to be released from the contract, and they were all granted. So it's kind of
not really firings, but
not really firing. Yeah. Did I say firings? I said releasings, right?
Yeah, no, you said they requested, but
they requested.
Yeah.
Firings may come tomorrow. Who knows? And it might be guys who just been on contracted that we never even realized, and then they finally just let them go. Kind of like Christian and Santino Marella of a couple weeks ago.
Right, exactly.
But, bigger and better things for these people. I don't know if I know you read Cody Rhodes' goodbye and thing. I find it funny that Cody Rhodes has backstage heat now after he left, because he made the comment that a TV writer was more interested in hitting on female developmental talent than writing good TV. So I find it funny that, one of the dirt sheets put up an article, Cody Rhodes gets backstage heat. Well, okay, good for him. He left the company already.
He
spoke
gone.
his mind.
I don't think that matters.
Everyone can speak their mind. And then speaking of speaking their mind, I'm sorry. And this is going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Everything Ryback has done since that match against Kalisto at Payback, I'm just into. Like he tweeted, "Who wants to see the Ryborg in TNA this summer?" And Dixie Carter liked it
in the Impact Zone is what he said.
In the Impact Zone,
no,
yeah. And Dixie Carter liked it. That's so funny.
I mean, it's funny, but it's funny in the wow, you're like the most stupid human being in the world.
But see, if somebody else did it, I think you would like. This goes for me too. If it was somebody I really, really hated, like I think it's your opinion on people who shoot like this are dictated by the person you are convinced they are. Like, if you think this guy is the dumbest idiot in the world and everything CM Punk said about him is right, you're like, not general you, is just like, well, this guy's just being a jerk. And then it's like, if you just sit back and like, you know what, I'm not in the business, I could care less. And he's just making all these tweets. I'm like, it's like, I'm getting a chuckle. Like in Chicago, he does the CM Punk, it's clobbering time. I'm like, that's the greatest thing in the world. This guy railed on you on a podcast when you couldn't defend yourself. And then you're in a forum and then you like throw a jab back at him. I'm like, that's great. Good for you. Good for you in a good way, not a sarcastic way. So I kind of miss the Ryback and then until he may come back, and then I don't want to see him again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not I'm not that way, and I'm not someone, and I don't like to write people off. It's just every interaction I've seen or heard of him has always, like, the more I saw of him, the more he rubbed me the wrong way. And this was way before people were really jumping on the hate train and talking about how dumb he was. But, I'd see some of these tweets that he'd put out, and this was before I was plugged into any kind of news aggregator or anything for wrestling. But it's just like, man, dude, like, you just don't say stuff like that. And then he would end up deleting it, which has become a meme in and of itself. And
well, not just him, like everyone.
Yeah, but he was a like major offender of that. And it's just, and he's still doing it. And I guess my thought on him was, I heard someone talking about it today, talking about him doing the Ryborg thing, and it kind of hit me finally what bothers me about it all. It's that he thinks he can just laugh and continue doing that stuff and there be no repercussions. And he's already dealing with repercussions for it. So I
maybe he's just at a point where he's just like, he knows it's over. And he's like, you know what? I just don't care anymore. I'm just
but
gonna do whatever I do. They can fire
that's
me, and
well,
I can
that's
move on
fine.
quicker. Or
That's fine, but he was doing that when he wasn't necessarily in that headspace. And
yeah, I mean,
he's allegedly this super positive guy, but almost everything he says is negative all the time. Like I've never gotten a positive vibe from him in any way, form, or fashion. Like the table for three thing, I'm just like, man, this is a guy that takes himself way too seriously because he's such a dope, and he should realize like he has no self-awareness whatsoever, and all his friends around him are being his friends and trying to point out to him that he's such a dope, and he still doesn't get it. Like that's what I got from that table for three.
I
So
think he's a hot mess, and I think it's entertaining right now.
yeah, which is,
basically,
some people show up to the train wreck and go, "What can I do to help?"
oh
Larry
no, I'm
shows up.
watching this one.
Yeah, Larry shows
Yeah.
up to the train wreck and finds a fire to pop some popcorn.
Listen, very few people in that train wreck where I'm jumping, not knowing which rail is electrocuted. It'd probably be Steve Blackman, Dana Brooke, Brittany Jackson, former University of Tennessee women's basketball superstar,
And Maurice.
And Maurice, and maybe AJ,
Those are the people.
Jamie Jameson, and then that's probably about it.
Those are the people you're gonna rescue.
Yeah, no, actually, I think the list is bigger than that. We might have to just have a whole recording of my list of people I would save in a train accident.
That would be a great supercut.
Number 1, Dana Brooke. Number 2, Caitlin. Number 3, Armbar.
Okay. All right.
So
next news.
Let's move on here.
Yeah.
There's not really much news and notes that wasn't this person on Twitter, this person backstage video, stuff like that. So 3 people released. You mentioned to me before we started recording, ICW from the UK is going to be on the Fight Network soon, or is already on the Fight Network. We don't exactly know, but
I can't get to the article anymore because something broke on my end.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out for next week. I'm interested to see what promotions are still on are still on the Fight Network. I know TNA was. I thought I heard Ring of Honor joined it. Fight Network is a Canadian-based TV company that you can get on Roku. We'll probably compile a list and we'll talk about it more next week and see. Because I'd like to do a show of alternatives.
Sure.
Non-main United States companies, not to talk about the wrestlers involved and stuff like that, but just do they have weekly TV shows and where can we watch them, if we can watch them and stuff like that to kind of broaden horizons. I have a trivia question for you, a pop quiz, if you will.
Pop quiz.
How long do I have to wait before the graphic and stuff?
It's been up.
Okay.
You know what? Now it's going away. There it goes.
Okay. Thank you. Cody Rhodes was a tag team champion 6 times, Duke. For the Center Square and the Block. Name the 4 different partners he had the title with.
Goldust.
That's 1.
Was Damian Sandow one?
Damian Sandow and Goldust never had the titles. I would have got that question wrong just based on that. That's the first answer I would have had.
And Stardust. So,
Stardust never had the tag team. Well, I guess he did with Goldust, but we're combining all. There's no trickery here. We're combining all the tag team titles in their various names and incarnations, and Cody Rhodes as Dashing, as Cody, as everything.
Okay, all right. So, but Goldust is 1.
Yeah. Goldust is 1. There's 3 more left. Sandow was not on the list.
Got it. Okay. All right. So just make sure I was clear.
Can you put in like the Family Feud X buzzer in there every time you get something wrong?
Okay. I've only gotten 1 so far, so that means I get 2 more.
Okay. You understand Family Feud? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I watch game shows.
Name 4 Family Feud hosts. Name 5. We'll do that question after. Go ahead.
No, we won't.
Cody Rhodes, Richard Dawson, Ray Combs, Steve Harvey, Louis Anderson, and Botsworth. I don't know his name, but go ahead. That's 5. Go. Still waiting for answers, by the way. filibustering. We're going to take the Star
How?
Wars universe
How can I?
and combine it with the Marvel universe.
How do I get to answer when you never shut up?
I pause for the specified length of time you're supposed to pause after a sentence.
Oh my God! No, you didn't. I don't want to be sitting here going,
That's why I'm talking a lot.
That's what I have to do.
That's why I'm talking a lot.
So Gold Dust and
I don't want to go off.
Okay, then I
go off.
I don't have anything else. That's all I got. Unfortunately, I can like see him with the title with someone else, but it's maybe I don't know. I'll guess
the obvious one
Ted
is
DiBiase
Legacy
Jr.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase Jr., Goldust, and Damian Sandow would have been the obvious choices I would have had. I would have been wrong on Sandow, though, as we know.
So who are the
Hardcore
other two?
Holly. Hardcore
wow.
Holly, the first
really?
one. Yeah, first tag team championship he had was with Hardcore Holly. Then he had it with Ted DiBiase Jr. and then Drew McIntyre.
Oh, okay.
You want to talk about totally forgetting things on your memory,
Sure.
and then Goldust. So there's the 4 different partners he had.
Well, there you go.
6 total times. 2 times with Ted DiBiase Jr., 2 times with Goldust. 6 titles altogether. Tag team, as far as I can tell. I believe I am 100% right. So, did you watch Extreme Rules?
Oh yeah.
All right. I had my take on it. So let's spend a little time and listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, I didn't hear your whole episode. It was good.
I was on game. I was on my point at that.
I was listening to it,
except for the part where I said Roman Reigns lost twice.
I was listening to it at work, and I got through about half of it, and then someone came to ask me something. And I'm like, oh, I'm not just sitting on YouTube listening to my buddy's podcast. But
I name dropped you twice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I heard I really enjoyed the show, and I thought it was cool how a lot of my, you know what, I'm just gonna fall back on doing it different. Ended up working. Like a lot of my predictions were just like, I just want to pick someone to be contrary to what the popular opinion is going to be.
The Miz winning was a good pick by you.
Well, the more I thought about it, it just made the most sense because the other guys can move on, or one of them, maybe Cesaro, but not even now. Guys can move on, and he can have another crop of people that will vie for it. And I feel like that's where they're going with it. Or, the guy, whatever happens in the title picture after Money in the Bank, the guy who just keeps floating around with the Money in the Bank briefcase, he's going to always be doing whatever, but could always show up for the big title, right? So doesn't necessarily need to be in the hunt for the IC title. So I don't know. To me, the more I thought about it, the less it needed to be anyone but The Miz. So anyway, and I love that the other 3 are now in the Money in the Bank match. So it's like a definite transition for them to.
Oh, you guys aren't good enough for the Intercontinental title. We're just gonna move you right along for a chance at the championship.
Well, I know, but it it's a. You're right. I get what you're saying.
No, that wasn't like nasty sarcastic against the booking. I mean, I know it works and there's nothing against it. It's just funny.
Right.
How, in the world of wrestling, we like to argue pet peeves and stuff that has to be realistic. And then we're happy that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Cesaro in the title, contention match for, the Money in the Bank match, but they lost an Intercontinental match, which is lower on the card.
Right.
So there we contradict ourselves right there, and we'll just call this back every single time we want to make a point about it.
Yeah. No, and I completely understand what you're saying, but as far as moving talent through the card, it is logical that, they tried for this title, and yes, it would make sense for them to move down, but who's going to move up in their place? Nobody. Move them up.
It was a qualifying match for it.
Yeah.
So they could have lost that and not been in the match. So if you want to get technical. And
true enough.
There's a reason.
Yeah, true enough. So it made sense that they lost one opportunity, they were given another, and they all succeeded in pursuing that opportunity. So it is actually logical, and I just like that. But anyway, so back to Extreme Rules. Really, to me, that match stole the show, which is why it's easy for me to just keep talking about it. It stole the show. It highlighted everyone, and holy crap, Sami Zayn with the opener was just like there
That
were
was fantastic.
there were so many great things about that, and I've watched it back. I think I've watched that match 3 to 4 times now, and just watching little details, looking for little details that I missed, nuances, and everything like that. And Sami Zayn's reaction to what he did at the beginning of that match, he kind of sits there in the corner and sort of glances over his shoulder, like, "So who's next?"
And everyone else's reaction to that was just like,
yeah,
did he just do that?
yeah,
It's like, it was pretty good.
yeah, yeah. It
It's
was
pretty good.
so. It was so. I'm sure it's happened before in wrestling plenty of times.
It was
Nothing's.
like the time that John Cena had to go in a triple threat match with DX, like for the title. He had to wrestle both Michaels and Triple H
And
when they were doing the
Michaels,
DX thing.
yeah, and
Yeah,
Michaels
Michaels
super
super
kicked
kicked. Yeah,
Triple H, yeah,
right to start the match. So it was like
yeah,
that. It was like, you know what? That was pretty good. I liked it.
yeah. Similar enough, but it's something that it hasn't been done enough that it's just like this tired old move. It's something that's special.
Right.
It's not necessarily unique, but it's special.
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely stole the show as expected, but in ways that I don't think anyone expected. So yeah, and like I love that I saw people freaking out about the finish and the quote unquote bad camera work, and people were like, but that was kind of the story of the match. It was that Sammy was finally going to pull it off, and still his personal feelings for KO got in the way to the point that that everyone was invested in. Hey, Sammy, get back in the match. Get back in the match. Even the commentators were, Sammy, you were right there. You had it, but he's got to deal with this personal issue. Whoa, what's going on in the ring? 2, 3. I thought that was great.
I thought it was good too.
It fit the story. It made sense. So it was like at the first my gut reaction initially was like, well, that was kind of janky. But then the more I thought about it, and I saw some comments on it, and I'm just like, it. And the more I've watched it, I'm like, man, it just fits the story of the match. So it really fits. So
This is the Weasel. He weaseled himself into another victory. It's kind of worked. I have a question about this match before we move on for you.
Sure, go.
So you had 3 internet darlings in the match, and The Miz, who people hate and have hated for years. I think The Miz held up on his own. I think he proved himself to be a good wrestler just based on this match or his matches he's had with these guys. What's your opinion on The Miz?
I mean, I've been sold on The Miz for a while.
Okay.
And I've even said it on our shows that I don't hate him, and I enjoy his work.
I think that meme is over, right? The whole Miz is your bathroom break. Every time The Miz comes on TV, you leave the channel. That meme is like done, right? Miz is legit.
Well, he's one of the only true heels on the roster.
Right. I mean, and like we said last week, when he has the title, he's good. He's the Miz you want. And then when he's like kind of lost in the shuffle, it's like, well, then he's the annoying Miz that you don't want to see ever.
Yeah. It's just like what purpose does he necessarily serve when people aren't chasing him? And that's not a slight on him. It's just that's his character. That's his character.
That's his character. Yeah.
His character should be a guy that he has something that no one thinks he does. I mean, that's what a heel is. He has something that no one thinks he deserves. That's the I won't say it's a problem, but that's where all the shades of gray come in these days, because these guys have titles and everyone's like, he should be a heel, or he's acting like a heel, but he wrestles so good, or whatever, or he keeps being in these amazing matches. And there's only, and I'll get to this in a second, there's only so many times that you can say someone's getting carried in a match, when every time they have a big match, it comes off as a big match for the most part. So I'm
interested. Who's the guy who got carried?
Oh, people still, people still claim that with Roman, right?
Okay. No, I thought you were going to bring up a point about you thought somebody was carried.
No. I was saying people, there's still people who think AJ carried Roman. And yes, AJ took a lot of just insane spots that, does he necessarily need to take them now at his age, so on and so forth? Maybe not. But I mean, that's AJ. That's his gimmick. AJ's gimmick is I'll do whatever it takes to make this the biggest match on the card, and I think they did. Um,
I think that match was just as good as the IC title, honestly.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's right up there, and I think the gimmick of the IC title is what pushed it over the edge. So did it necessarily, from a pure wrestling standpoint, it didn't necessarily push it over the edge. So, um, but I liked everything. I really did. I liked Dana Brooks' involvement as much.
Did you?
I did. I did.
See, as a Dana Brooke fan,
I was
I don't know
surprised by it, but I didn't hate it. So
she's back to the lackey. And I thought that off of 2 straight victories on Becky Lynch that she was going to get like pushed a little bit, like in like a proper B storyline in the women's division with Becky and Dana and whoever else, and then you have Charlotte fighting the flavor of the month or the contender of the month on the other side.
but why can't she be? Why can't she still be? Why can't she do both? Like,
Well,
why
because
not
now,
both?
because in the women's revolution and stuff like that, she's now just a lackey. Like
But is
maybe,
she?
well, are we really thinking that we're going to build a storyline where Dana Brooke's going to get pissed off at Charlotte and then come after a title, and that's going to, be this, apex moment in the women's division?
Oh, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying Charlotte. So Charlotte has just hardcore defended her title over and over and over and over and over again. What if Dana actually serves as a gatekeeper? Not just a valet, but what if
yeah.
It's like you got to get through my muscle? If you can get
I-
through her, like
So
now maybe that's not what happens, but I think that would be a great role and a great way to showcase her more and get her some
that's
more
good.
minutes in the
right.
ring.
So let me ask my question now, since we're getting into this topic before we move
Okay.
on from this topic. Are you okay with the women's match on pay-per-view, the only women's match on pay-per-view, constantly being dictated by outside interference and never decided on wrestling in an era where they're promoting women as real wrestlers?
No, that's why there should be more than one on the card, and I don't mind. I don't mind a heel winning as in a heel way, but yeah,
For the men, it's okay because it's like 1 or 2 out of 7 matches. For the women, it's 1 out of 1 match every time.
yeah, right, exactly, and I don't necessarily agree with it, and I think, and I thought the point of getting rid of Rick would be to have just straight matches, and not necessarily where Charlotte has to win clean, but just where it's just Charlotte and a competitor. So if they are indeed, and it seems like they are, if they are indeed trading out Rick for Dana instead of, which I thought that was going a different direction when Extreme Rules closed out, and then what it actually did, which I'll get to in a second, which I already got to last week, honestly. But anyway, I thought that was going to go a different direction than it did. If it's really just trading them out so that Rick doesn't have to be on the road so much, and maybe it limits their liability with Rick. No offense to him, but he just wants to do his thing. So I'm really just lost in my thoughts right now. But I will say no, I don't like that. I don't like that it's everything has to end in interference, and it's always outside interference. It's never a heel just is a heel on their own. Even though I like the work Charlotte's been doing, I like the attitude she's been showing, and I like that she was able to hold it together for the most part in that promo on Monday, and it was produced extremely well, even though people were like, what was that? And it was just like,
I just hate it because we have this revolution or this new era of women's wrestling, and we don't ever get women's wrestling match. Everything has to be a gimmick. Everything has to be storyline driven in the most dramatic of ways. Can we just please
have some actual wrestling?
Yeah. And you have wrestlers like, I'll consider Charlotte a great wrestler, and Natalya is probably the best of the best compared, popular opinion. And you have 3 out of the last 4 pay-per-views, them having a match, all of them being a distraction leading to Natalia losing or some sort of screw job.
Well,
And then it looks like, based on SmackDown today, that we might have a fourth out of five pay-per-view matches where it's Charlotte, or maybe it's going to be Dana by proxy. But it looks like they're heading back to Charlotte and Natalia again. So I don't know. It's enough already. I don't want to see a Bailey versus Sasha Banks epic proportion match. But what was wrong with Becky Lynch versus Dana Brooke? Those are good matches. Why can't we start booking stuff like that?
yeah, just
You know.
actual wrestling matches.
Yeah.
And,
So
and
all
there
right.
was still heel tactics involved in that. In the whole eye thing and all that. There was
there are a lot of
heel moves
Oh yeah.
without having to have outside interference necessarily.
Right.
Or
And I
dramatic
guess
outside interference. Yeah.
constant, consistent. Dana Brooke
Yeah.
didn't poke Becky Lynch in the eye 17 months in a row. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
enough. But all right. So let's steer you back.
But I still liked it. All in all, I liked.
I didn't.
Yeah, I get it. But I get that part of it, and you're completely right. Part of it is Dana was on such a cool track to be like this monster on a streak, and then now she's gonna be relegated.
And
to
now she almost lost
ballet.
an Natalia in 35 seconds today on SmackDown if Charlotte didn't interfere.
Yeah.
So she was booked to almost lose in 35 seconds. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
So all right. So heel tactics and stuff. We're getting cranky on the constant use of it. It was done in the IC match. You had the run-ins in the main event match. New Day even did it in their match. What other things in Extreme Rules really stood out to you before we move on to
on good or bad? What are you?
Well, you can give me one of each if you want. If you have something in mind,
I mean, I didn't really hate anything in the show.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't think there was anything really hateable.
Like everything was pretty solid. I thought it was interesting, and like I said, I haven't watched the whole show over yet, but did they just show like a promo of Cass, and there was no actual in-ring anything involving Cass?
It wasn't a match. It was the Dudleys coming out to say, "How can you have Extreme Rules without us? We're more extreme than the entire locker room." And then Cass came out and said,
"So he did." So which is fine. I mean,
it was cool. It was unannounced. It was unexpected, and
yeah,
you were just like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I feel like to me it was a little weird because it was almost like it was a blow off with them, and it seems like you would want to have, if Enzo was going to just come back the next day, why not do it there and get the crowd just completely hyped up for a second?
He came back the next day. He took a bump, but he didn't exactly wrestle the next day. So
but that's what I'm saying. Like, why not do what you did on Monday Night Raw?
Well, because one, it's the pre-show. Two, it's unannounced. Unannounced on a pre-show for a live event. As far as the most popular show,
why would you do that? You're right. You're right. Okay. But I thought that was yeah, you're right. I forgot that he actually did come out and do something. So, Corbin Ziggler was pretty good.
Did we already lose Corbin and Ziggler again off TV? They weren't on Raw. Well, Ziggler lost on Raw and Money in the Bank match, but Corbin was nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
Corbin's gone on Thursday. Apollo Crews, he had a match on Monday Night Raw, but he's disappeared as well.
I feel like maybe there's a connection to the brand split with that, where they're pulling guys back a little bit.
It could be, but I heard that the decision wasn't really made until like a day or two before they officially announced it. So it's not like they were kind of leading
once
up.
again flying by the seat of their pants. All right, yeah. So anyway, I liked Extreme Rules. There's nothing really that stands out that I hated, and the things most people hated that I could understand why they did it, so I didn't necessarily hate it. But anyway,
yeah, I just disagreed with the Dana Brooke, the constant, the whole hum. Somebody interfered or caused a distraction. Charlotte won again, and then I was really impressed by Roman Reigns.
Oh, he was great.
And how him and AJ Styles work, because you think about it,
they have unbelievable chemistry.
You think about before AJ Styles debuted in WWE, if anybody would have come up to you and said, "Hey, Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles," you'd be like, "Oh, Roman Reigns couldn't hang with him. He would look foolish. He'd look stupid. He's not the caliber of wrestler AJ Styles is." and maybe not athletically, but Roman Reigns is athletic. Like, and he rolled with it, and it looked, now not that he was carried, and which I hope you weren't going to say before when you mentioned carried. I hoped it wasn't your opinion, is what I'm saying.
No, no, it wasn't. No,
Yeah, but he
no,
wasn't
not at
carried.
all.
But they really gelled and they meshed well, and that was a great match. I really enjoyed it, and I love his upward spear. You remember when you liked it when he did it on Bray Wyatt, coming from the
Oh
crowd
yeah,
into Bray Wyatt and then down. He did it again, the
yeah.
upward spear,
And of
and
course,
it's just,
that's what people hate. You know, is just like, oh, he takes all these chair shots, blah 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 blah. Again,
well, he's wearing body armor, so I can take chair shots too if I'm wearing a freaking
yeah. Well,
vest.
but there's again the fact
Those
that
thumbtacks aren't real.
yeah, they're just wood. Oh, okay. That wouldn't hurt. Sharp objects in your skin. You know, they change.
But I bet half of them are fake. Well, what does it matter if half of them or all of them are real?
Yeah.
They're still
Anyway,
going into your body, the ones that are real.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll go back on that real quick in just a second, but yeah, I thought Reigns was great during the whole feud. It's interesting to try to figure out what they're going to do with AJ even after tonight. You know, after
Well, that's
Monday,
a question I
and
have for
then
you
after
later, by the way.
tonight.
So
Okay, all right, so we'll get that in a second. But yeah, I like that. Chris Jericho taking the tax and otherwise, so that was one match that was a little blah.
it
Then,
was right.
but
Okay, I
but
wasn't. It
then
wasn't just
the
me.
but then the thumbtacks
Right.
just completely changed. It changes your opinion. It doesn't necessarily change your opinion of the match, but it makes it satisfying. You know,
How dumb is it that they kept getting weapons, and then when one person would climb the cage to go get another weapon, the other person would look around to see what part of the cage to climb to get another weapon, and there's 5 of them still on the floor of the ring.
yeah. Why
You
not
know,
just
from what
use
they got
why
before.
not just use what's there? Like,
I compared
yeah.
it. You probably didn't get to this part of my review. I compared it to a video game where if you drop the bat on the floor, it blinks and
It fades
disappears.
and disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rule of the match was if the nunchucks touched the ground, any part of the nunchuck touched the ground, the wrestler had to relinquish the nunchuck and it could never be used again.
Yeah.
Is what is the unwritten rule of that match I'm going for. So
Yeah. Well,
the tax
I think that could have been booked better, and I feel like this is something that you would expect Jericho to think of, where he would somehow get the weapon out of Dean's hands and then push it through the cage, push it through the holes in the cage. You know, so it's just like he's
Jericho
removing.
running scared.
Yeah, which totally fits his character in that match too, right? So it
Yeah.
seems like that would have made like he drops the or he finally gets the nunchucks out of his hands. Which, by the way, it was really cool that Dean just did that nunchuck spot. That was a bright spot for me too.
I've done that with a remote once before. And,
Yeah.
it didn't end well.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone always hits themselves in the nuts, you know,
or the back,
yeah,
or like you just
yeah, just anywhere it hurts.
Yeah.
And so he handled those quite well, so that was cool. But yeah, it would have been nice if when a weapon was dropped, Jericho was either throwing it over the cage, which you could have had a comedy spot or two out of that, which would have that would have livened up the crowd some, or he was
could have
pushing
threw the mop like a javelin.
yeah, or
It
he's
would have been great.
or just pushing it through the holes in the cage just so it gets rid of it. It was cute that the only thing left at
Was Mitch.
Yeah, was son of a Mitch.
Son of a. Oh, but did they ever call it son of a Mitch, or did you just make that up?
I said it from the very beginning, but JBL was saying son of Mitch, son of Mitch.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we were
like Breeze instead of Breeze Dango.
Yeah, Breeze Dongo. That's so stupid.
So.
Anyway,
all right, let's move on from it.
Yep. But
it's fun. It was
but
good.
The thumbtack spot was impressive of Jericho.
Oh yeah.
So,
it's like the time Ric Flair went into him in the WWE ECW. Like these guys don't have to do it.
And I think that's the.
And then
that wasn't the last time. Was that the last time it was done? It was either that time or it was the Orton spot with Mankind. No, it had to be Flair. It had to be Flair.
Well, I don't know if Foley Edge WrestleMania came after that. I don't remember. My timeline gets skewed back then because I really wasn't following the product that well.
Yeah, it's one of those two are the last time it was done, which means that was years ago.
Oh yeah, years and years ago. This is the first time they actually did something that they knew would provoke blood. without it being like a fake blood job or accidentally being done. Like this is the
Right.
first legit thing that
Yeah, this
you know
was it was
they planned
intended.
for, that they knew the guy was going to
Yeah.
bleed.
Yeah, it
So
was intended to
intended.
get color.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
Speaking of intended to get color, SmackDown is going to go live in July on Tuesday nights at its normal time of 8 p.m., but different day. Live. I think I said live.
You did.
And an incoming brand split and draft, Duke. What do you want to happen? Let's put it that way. Not what do you think to happen. What do you want from this?
Um I want to see SmackDown be a lot edgier show. I want these so I put it in the comments of your video when you first started talking about it, and I think you said I think that's one of the times you threw my name out there where you said I'm interested to hear Duke's opinion on this. I think you said, but you may not have. I may have just thought it, but
I did
um,
say I want to hear Duke's opinion on this. I don't know if it was Smack. Well, I don't. Maybe it was the SmackDown one.
yeah.
But
But it was. But to me, Raw is always going to be your flagship. That's not going to change. But Raw can be your more casual audience focused show, which is what it is now, and then SmackDown can be your more. I'm not going to say it's determined by the IWC, but it
indie
is.
show, should I?
Uh, not maybe it has
Indie style.
sort of that kind of feel, yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's more it's more IWC friendly. How about that? It's
Right.
not something where they're scouring the internet to see what the internet tells them to do, because that's ridiculous. But it's but it is something where they're like, oh, okay, people would like to see this. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So,
So you're thinking that, and this is Meltzer. Do you agree with Meltzer's opinion on who's going to be who did he say were going to be the flagship guys for each show? And
he
do you agree with that or
says
not?
Meltzer says Reigns will be the sort of the flag bearer of Raw, and Cena will return and be the flag bearer of SmackDown. Now, I don't know, maybe, but we talked about this earlier. I feel like half the time he just makes it up, and just to see if they'll maybe take one of his ideas, and then later he can be like,
If
I just
you
made that up and they did it. But
if you had a legitimate top pick for each brand, not bringing up a name that you think should be on top, but a legitimate top pick for each brand, who would you put where?
I'd put AJ Styles at the top of SmackDown after what happened
Okay.
with the feud, and the fact that a lot of your I feel like a lot of your outside talent guys are going to start showing, and NXT guys are probably going to show up on SmackDown. It's going to be more catered to the younger / fringe type guys than it is to your traditional guys that are homegrown or have been around for a little while. I feel like that's just, I don't know. To me, that seems the more organic way of doing things. So I could see AJ being sort of the leader of that show. Now, and that sort of goes back to the whole that question that you were going to ask me, where does this leave AJ? And maybe that's where it leaves AJ, is you have a tournament for a title and AJ comes out on top. And if they're going to have a separate, which rumors are they will have whether it's a
I think it's only
revived.
natural to have a separate champion if you're going to segregate them, because it's just
Yeah, because it's like,
it's better for everybody, the audience and the guys on the roster, to have.
it's kind of like, so you have this show that's its own live brand, and when people get high enough on the card there, they leave the show. That doesn't make sense. That's bad.
Well, no, because if the champion goes back and forth between both brands, your champion can have a feud on SmackDown, or the challenger from SmackDown can win the title. Now your title's there as well. Your title's
Yeah,
still on both shows, so it's kind of like,
yeah,
I get what you mean, to have a show and then not have its own official champion for the
yeah.
show,
Right.
and your only champion of it is the IC or US title, and then
Well,
everything else hops
I mean,
between both.
you're essentially branding that show. You're doing this brand split, but you're essentially saying this show is the B show.
Which they've always done, except for the time that Heyman was running it with Stephanie McMahon, and it became the A show in terms of popularity.
Right.
And then they quickly chopped down that cherry tree to
Yeah.
make it the B show again.
Yeah. But
So
I guess what I'm saying is like you don't want to have this sort of big campaign and they're going to put all this story, all these angles into it, and then you're just like, meh. Now, speaking of angles, I'll tell you a good guy to run Smack to come back and be the face of SmackDown would be freaking Kurt Angle. Give him a year run. Give him a year run.
His last year is he gets
Well,
one more
it's
year in
just like,
WWE.
SmackDown picks, and then you hear, you know, it's not like I was on key or anything, but
You suck.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Well, they also chant that during the show.
I mean, people's like heads would explode. It would just be.
Well, let's not have their heads explode just yet. Let's save that for a
Okay.
little bit at the end of this podcast.
Sure.
All right. So live SmackDown should be cool. You kind of think Stephanie's going to run one, Shane the other? Kind of logical, right?
Yeah, it seems like that's what they're doing. Yep.
Are they going to have a match for it? Because if they have a match for it, then the loser gets SmackDown. Then you're already cementing that legacy of B show. But so maybe not.
Yeah. That's probably bad.
Yeah, or maybe like something happens where like Shane gets fired, then all of a sudden I'm gonna take over SmackDown then, or whatever. And
well, I don't know because they're so upfront on this, so it'd be kind of weird for
and
for them to
they've
do
also
that, to them storyline it that way at least.
They've also allegedly announced the date of the draft, so it doesn't seem like it's going to be based on a storyline, which I would have liked. Even though they did this whole announcement that there will be a brand split, I kind of would have liked to see a storyline lead to the brand split.
Yeah.
Instead of just we're doing it on this date, here's the draft, be there. And it's the go home show for Battleground as well, so you can read into that title a little bit and just say, hey, Battleground, we can do Stephanie versus Shane, or Team Stephanie, Team Shane, and then winner gets the #1 draft pick tomorrow night on Raw, or whatever the hell.
Well, yeah, you could do that. That would be cool. That'd be a cool
you
way
can
to
still
do
do #1. Yeah, you can still do #1
one
pick. I hope they don't do
they
a gimmicky where it's like
for a pick.
I
I would like that if they would vie for a pick at Battleground. That would be really cool.
I hope they don't do a gimmicky. Well, no, because the draft's going to happen before Battleground, I think.
Oh, it's before. Okay.
I think everything's happening before the live SmackDown. I have to check the dates, and I have to make sure that what I read was legit, and it wasn't just like odds are it's going to be on this day in this town, whatever. But I hope they don't do a gimmicky where they're like #1 pick, I take John Cena. #1 pick for me, I take the New Day, and like they get 3 people at once. I hope it's not gimmicky like that.
Well, you say that, but I hope they don't split up tag teams.
They're gonna, I wouldn't put them past them to split up Del Rio and Paige, or Maurice and Miz, or Rusev and Lana.
Can't split up Maurice and Miz. You just
look at the last time they've done drafts. They always split up real life couples. Always. It's like a thing. But you can't. You really can't split up any of those. Well, Paige and Del Rio, you can split up.
Paige and Del Rio, you could, and then the fans would be like, "Oh, you know what I'm saying?" That would be a fun fan thing to do.
The story about that relationship is it's made just for Total Divas anyway.
Yeah,
it's not even real. So, like you said, it was trolling. I mean, that's kind of could be a fake relationship just for the show drama alone. But all right, so let's talk NXT TakeOver, The End, and not the matches. We'll get into that later. The name. I hope, and this is let me take this one to start.
Go.
I hope the name just implies that it's the end of the war between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor, and I hope The End doesn't mean the end of NXT live specials, which comes completely out of left field, I feel. But it's being rumored that it's being teased that this is the last live event special that they're going to do.
But they've already got Barclays on the hook for another
2 years.
takeover. Yeah,
2 years. But I mean, maybe besides Barclays Center, it could be the last takeover special. God, this would be a travesty. And now I was thinking about it logically and not to get into numbers and everything, because I kind of was breaking it down. Then I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to sum it up generically. NXT is not a moneymaker. It's like a debt machine in terms of where are they making money?
The network that's there.
No one's paying $10. They're not justifying the $10 you pay a month on the network when there's all the costs associated with doing all the other stuff, superstars, main event, live,
I get what you're saying.
pay-per-view
Yeah,
specials.
from their perspective, I got you.
Right. It's not a moneymaker. If somebody
I guess
buys
what
10
I'm
bucks
I
for
guess
NXT,
I guess what I'm
then
saying
it's going.
is okay. Go ahead, and then I'll
I'm
say
saying if
mine.
someone buys $10, if I'm going to be the guy that says I only got the WWE network for NXT, but that $10 is not going towards NXT events. It's going towards the streaming service to keep up all the on-demand videos, the people you pay to edit the stuff, the live event specials, the you know costs of main event and superstars. I mean, a lot of the pockets are being funded to other projects. Money from multiple pockets, but $10 a month isn't being justified for NXT.
So
NXT might get revenue for the TV tapings, the 250 people they get on the road per show, or the t-shirt sales minus all the costs associated with them. But it is generically, and not to go too much into this, a money losing project, except it's a developmental system that's funding the superstars are being groomed towards bigger and better things. So
well, hang on real quick. When I say NXT, I mean people subscribe for NXT, and there are plenty. I've seen plenty of people say it, and who knows what that actually translates to, right? But there is the case that those number, like for every person that's just subscribing for NXT, that's one more number of subscribers to the network, which is part of what the board looks at when they're looking at forecasts and
I
things
don't
like
think there's
that.
metrics to show who's subscribing for what show, though.
What I know that.
So it's not
I,
like
I,
that's
I
what I'm
know
saying. They can't
that.
justify that $10 to be NXT money
Yeah,
when they have all these costs
I
from
guess what I'm
everywhere.
saying is
And
from
I'm
a
just playing devil's advocate right
I
now.
know, but what I'm saying is from a broad perspective, every person who just subscribes for NXT is making an impact on the total package, even if it's just that one person's $10 and you can't necessarily link it to NXT. If there's 100,000 people who are subscribed to the network exclusively for NXT, that's 100,000 more subscribers that the shareholders see. Is what I'm
They're
saying. That's
subscribed
what I'm
to a
saying.
network that incorporates a lot of different costs.
I know
There's
that.
no way
I
to
know.
break that. No, that's what I'm just saying. There's no
I
way. I'm just saying it to
I
be
know that.
argumentative.
I know
I'm
that.
saying it. I'm saying it for the audience to be argumentative. There's no cost production breaking down the $10 because the person who just buys NXT could be watching one pay-per-view a week from the archives. And that person who just bought NXT, well, only 20%, 5% of his time is spent watching NXT. The other 75% is watching the archives, which is being justified by other costs. So I don't know. And I'm hoping that it's not a money thing and it's not all of a sudden they got the word that this is your last NXT special. And that's where the whole change from Revenge to the end went for. And I hope it goes towards other things like Samoa Joe Finn Balor feud. What would happen if this was the last live special, Duke? Would it kind of like ruin it? I mean, it wouldn't ruin NXT for me, I don't think, but I don't know if I really could get into it as much, not knowing there were like main shows on the horizon.
Um.
Because TNA is like that. TNA has main shows within their TV tapings, and I feel like I'm at a loss getting into things because, as good as the wrestling and the storyline can be, like there's no main show
It
for it
can.
to happen.
Yeah.
There's
It
like
can only
three a
go.
year.
It can only go so far. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely would not stop watching. I will say
No,
that.
no, it's
I
part
would.
of my weekly routine.
Yeah. I would not stop watching because it is good and it is great. It is good wrestling and it is great seeing people develop into what will one day become a main roster character, and just to see
God,
how
what if NXT was
see how
just
they
totally
change and
scrapped
stuff like that. So
and 90% of the roster was just called up to get
I
fill
I,
the rosters of Raw and SmackDown, and then that was it. NXT was just like dead.
I think
That
that
would
would
suck.
be awful and pointless because it's like what you get from NXT as a brand is giving people actual TV experience. Otherwise, I mean, you can have an audience there and record it and only use it in house, but you can't see how people are actually getting over with the audience that matters when they get on Raw or SmackDown if you're not seeing people's feedback. You know what I'm saying? If you're only getting the whatever, sorry, 1 second.
Well, yeah, from the talent, while you choke, from the talent perspective, everyone's getting all this experience in multiple places so that when wrestlers come up, they have the promotional work and they know how to sell to a camera and they know all the terms, terminology, and what WWE looks for in a wrestler. But that's on the talent level. If a job you were in had to send you for training and it was really costing them money, would they just turn around and say, you know, this whole training program's not working. We just got to start hiring people that have experience, you know, and that's be argumentative. I really think that in the end, the title, The End, is just the fitting end of the chapter for Joe and Balor. And then it's open ended enough for you to speculate, well, is this Balor's last show? Or, you know, and stuff like that. So hopefully
Well,
you're not dead. Just make sounds.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, there you go.
That hurt. I know you could hear me coughing, but the recording
Yeah, and
didn't.
then
So
my backup recording probably has you coughing too, so that'd be awesome. I hope we can use it.
we'll be fine. I've got levels, so we're good. Um, yeah, I suspect it's just Triple H doing a little bit of trolling since everyone else gets to have fun doing that all the time, because um, before they made the cage announcement, he he put up on Twitter all the fan videos that they had compiled of the nasty match and the pull away and everything like that with Joe and Finn, and his comment on that was Samoa Joe and Finn Balor can't be contained, and everyone was just like, oh, they're gonna have a cage match. Like there were people who were just like, well, that's the only way you could contain them, put them in a cage, right?
I think Triple H
And
is
that was
poetic about his tweets at NXT.
yeah. I think it's like he's calling a shot, but he leaves it open to interpretation
Right.
just to see because it generates buzz. It's
Yeah.
extremely
Yeah.
intelligent, honestly. So, for
No, it's
all
good.
the
It works.
for all the people who say, for the multiple shoot interviews that call Hunter a dope, he sure knows how to get people talking about his brand. So,
I'm a little depressed. I need
okay.
to know I need to know the answer that it's like I need somebody to come out and say
I
that
suspect
this is
we'll
not the end of live specials. It's titled this because of this, and I can be like, okay, cool.
I suspect we'll know at the next show next week. He doesn't leave things hanging that long.
Unless, well, it would have to be something that was post produced then, because if it
Well,
happened
that's what
at,
they do.
yeah, no, I was gonna, I'm just saying
Yeah,
if they happened at the taping, like it would have been
yeah, it's
like it
been
would have
leaked
been like end
already.
of NXT announced, blah blah blah. So
Yeah,
you know,
they've made a big point, or it may be something that they do a Facebook Live thing because they've been really into that lately.
yeah.
They do it the day of or the day before, so I suspect we'll know. I suspect we'll
I
know.
need to know now so I can sleep because it's one of the better
It's really
parts
messing
of
you
my
up, huh?
wrestling life is just to watch these NXT specials and to watch the shows
Sure.
leading up to them, and then all of a sudden it's like if
Could
it's
they go away?
death of it, it's like just like oh, because I've had that happen with companies before, and if you're over 20 years old, you probably had it happen to you as well. Companies you like just fold or just die in obscurity, and then
Or
just
get randomly bought by WWE?
yeah, or get randomly bought. 22 years after they were ever relevant to begin with, but you kept watching because you were invested. So moving on. Speaking of investment, John Cena debuts Monday night. Debuts, first time ever, Duke. He'll
First
be
time ever, just
debuting on
like
Monday
the
Night Raw. John Cena. This is
just like
big
the
guy.
women's championship.
He's
It's first
built.
time ever.
He's built. He's not from the Caribbean or Puerto Rico, but he's a muscular guy. He's got a couple moves, 5 of them, I think, maybe 6 now if you count the stunner. But he debuts on Raw. What do you think his role is going to be? Moving, what is it? What is his role going to be on Memorial Day Raw? And then what's his role going to be towards Money in the Bank?
Um, I don't know. It's hard to call because as much as Cena has been the face of WWE and still is a huge draw, and plenty of people want him back after quote unquote the Roman Reigns experiment. I just really don't know. I don't know where we go from here with him because he can be your top guy. Despite what Smarks will say, he can put people over big time. So I don't know. Like a lot of people expect that, or were expecting Ruru. By the way, that was a great match. That was one of Kalisto's best matches. By the way,
Kalisto still has
Rules.
the worst head scissor takeover.
You're not wrong.
Ever.
You're not wrong. But
You
that
should
was
just stop doing it.
that was
I
one
want
of
to
his
punch
best.
the TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of his best matches in my opinion. But with Ruru, everyone expected Ruru to take that title, and he did, and he took it in very convincing, very intriguing fashion. But a lot of people expected that to happen, and then they expect John to show up and big match John Ruru again and win it from him and start the U.S. Open Challenge again. So that's what a lot of people were calling as soon as the match was made with Rusev and Kalisto. So,
But
will
now
that
Titus
happen?
O'Neil, cold shotgun.
Oh yeah, right.
You didn't watch SmackDown?
Yeah. Sorry, but
You don't disrespect the guy who cold shotgun.
fair enough.
Unless you want to get suspended again, but go ahead.
So, and that could be an interesting feud, by the way, to have a great in-ring talent like Rusev against Titus O'Neil, who is still kind of green but has a great presence about him, an amazing presence about him. That could be fun. That could be really fun. So,
By the way,
and a great way to get Titus to actually get him back over. So
your guy Hideo Itami has finally been cleared to return to in-ring activity.
My guy,
and Summer Rae was hurt and believed to have a concussion. She's been out since April 23rd in a Spain live event in Spain. She teamed with Tamina Snuka, Naomi, and Lana.
Can everyone stay away from people's heads? Can we just leave people's heads? How about this? Everyone stop kicking so freaking much. Why don't we leave it to the pros? Like, why don't we leave it to Matt and Nick Jackson and no one else do kicks to the face? Just leave it to the pros. Leave it to the elite of the wrestling community of wrestling. Just leave it to the elite. Everyone else stop kicking. Just stop kicking people.
The Usos should join the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
And, they should be their Young Bucks. Ever since they debuted, all they do is super kick anyway.
The young Usos. That's hard to say. Yeah, it's just it's starting to tick me off. Like it's starting to actually anger me that so many people are getting injured, and it seems like it's all related to kicking too much or taking too many flat-footed bumps where you're coming down off the ropes or jumping out of the ring. It's just
it's just what I wonder if the frequency of concussions happened the same back in the day,
but now
it's just like they're
hypersensitive
protocols.
to it. Yeah.
So, all right, so
that's exactly true. You're that's the answer to that question is absolutely 100%.
Larry's right again.
Yes. Yeah. Larry's right freaking
again. Speaking of right, here are my 3 scenarios for John Cena's return. You ready for them?
All right, go. Yeah, because I really do have nothing. Obviously,
we're gonna have him ease him back in role where he gets interrupted by the Social Outcasts on Raw.
Yes, I like it. I already like.
We're done. We're done. We don't even need 2 and 3. We're done.
That's good. That's really good.
Dallas giving him an inspirational speech. Hey, champ, I know you've been hurt. And that whole thing.
All
and
you
then
gotta do is leave.
And then they try to get him to run the bow train with him. Like, you'll feel better. Like, they give him a Social Outcast shirt. This is great. This is the best idea I had
I
since Jericho beating Ambrose in his match and then Ambrose winning the Money in the Bank and Jericho. Wait, that didn't happen. But this is a good idea. We give Cena a Social Outcast shirt because they need a member, and they do the whole run the Bo train with him, and then Cena just turns around and puts the AA on Bo Dallas or whoever is leading the train.
no, I think I'm really not being facetious here, and I know you're going to think I am. I think John should join the Social Outcasts. How amazing would it be?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not give Cena, because he does comedy so well, why not let him be the leader of this band of misfits for a couple of months? Why not? Why not?
To quote the BP oil president from his incarnation in South Park, come on. Come on. Just do it. I don't think he said, I don't know. No, he said, we're sorry. Come on was a different guy. My bad. We'll just take that on post. Okay, thank you.
You mean, come on. That's the Miz.
That's the Miz. No, there was a guy who just went, come on. Yeah. Like it was, Peter Griffin when he was lobbying for tobacco in Congress and Family Guy. He's like, come on. And he's like, he makes a good point. Here's the throw John Cena back in the mix as soon as possible scenario. You ready?
He just comes in and automatically gets Money in the Bank.
He gets the Money in the Bank 7th spot.
Yeah,
just it. He's back.
Cena's
back. It's Cena's world, and Cena's doing Cena as only Cena can do. So that's it. His match on Monday is a Money in the Bank qualifying match, and he went against Sheamus. No, Sheamus already lost against whoever, and he wins the spot. And we're gonna put John Cena into the new era mix. He helps AJ Styles fend off Gallows and Anderson, or he conflicts with AJ Styles somewhere, and Money in the Bank is AJ Styles versus Cena.
Now that'd be huge. That'd be
Cena,
massive.
AJ Styles has nothing for Money in the Bank currently right now either.
Right.
So it's either Cena and AJ Styles versus Gallows and Anderson, or Cena and AJ Styles paths collide somewhere, since AJ had that interview where he doesn't know what he's going to do now.
Now let's be real here. With all the losses that AJ has suffered, I mean, does a win get any bigger besides winning a big title? Does a win get any bigger than beating a returning Cena? I mean,
I think with AJ Styles, like, we have the win-loss argument a lot.
Right.
I think with AJ Styles, the losses actually did push him up in the eyes of the crowd. Because of all the fan following he got and all the spots he was put in where the crowd wanted him to win. Right. I don't think the losses affected AJ Styles as much as like losses would affect Tyler Breeze or anybody debuting, who's not that well known as AJ Styles. But you're right.
But wouldn't it? But I feel like if he gets in a few or whatever,
I think that helped Owens.
Whatever happens with Cena, like I think it's brilliant to put them together. But whatever happens with Cena, if he doesn't come out with a win there, I think that hurts him because it's just like, oh, well, he's just another guy that jobs to Cena.
Yeah. This is just WWE not pushing talent that made themselves elsewhere.
Right. Yeah. So, that's exactly the story that gets told at that point.
I think Kevin Owens.
Just like you won't put him over against the current face. You won't put him over against the previous face of the company. So. Yeah, you're screwing AJ over because he's not homegrown.
So. Did Kevin Owens' career get elevated because he beat John Cena initially? I think yes.
100%. Yes.
100%. And I think that
yes.
AJ Styles doesn't need that kind of thing, and maybe Owens didn't need it anyway because he's certainly charismatic enough to just do it on his own.
Yeah.
But like you said, if he loses to Jericho and then loses to Roman and then a couple times and then loses to Cena right after that, it's like, well, just go get a locker next to Dolph Ziggler, and then you guys can just
you guys
talk about who you're going to put over next.
Yeah, you're the new job squad.
Yeah. All right, 7th man in the Money in the Bank match. Let's talk about it.
Haven't we?
There are a few names. I mean, we really haven't. John Cena is the only name we kind of mentioned.
So interesting thought I've had with recent booking of this particular character. Xavier Woods.
Seventh. Well, let me preface this by saying this: they had 5 matches on Raw for the Money in the Bank shot. Contenders. They had 1 match on SmackDown, so they made 5 matches in one show to have 1 match on another show to leave a 7th spot open. You got to expect that that spot's going to go to somebody top tier or who's going to reemerge out of nowhere.
Yeah. I got where I smell what you're stepping in.
Right.
I got
Neville's coming back, and Neville's going to take that 7th spot.
Yeah, that's totally.
Or Bray Wyatt.
That's totally what you were saying.
Or Bray Wyatt.
You weren't saying Randy Orton at all.
Randy Orton's a name I've heard before. I heard it both ways, but we can put Randy Orton in that match as well. How about a cranky, angry Sheamus getting a second chance?
Yeah, I think
not like the fans would care, but
but as much as people would hate this, Sheamus getting in the way of Orton qualifying for that last match or that last spot.
If Orton's coming back and they don't have Sheamus versus Orton at least 3 times before SummerSlam, I'm going to be upset.
I would actually be disappointed.
I would be very upset because
it just makes sense.
And we need Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto at least one more time. One more match. That's all we're asking for, WWE. One more match.
How about Orton comes back and because all of a sudden he's on Twitter again this week. Like I hate saying it. Out of nowhere.
And I try not to say phenomenal when talking about AJ Styles.
Yeah, I know.
And I always say out of nowhere when talking about him.
Yeah. But seriously, he has been radio dark, and all of a sudden he's talking on Twitter this week. It seems like maybe he comes back with Cena and screws. Maybe Cena comes out, does one of his big monologues, and then he's about to leave the ring, and all of a sudden people start freaking out, and you're like, "What's going on?" And the camera cuts, and bam, RKO.
better for fans is to have Orton debut with an RKO out of nowhere. It's better for fans.
Yeah.
Better for TV is Orton's music hitting, crowd reacting, Orton coming into the ring.
But it just completely makes sense for it just to be an RKO. And what better person? Yeah, no one wants to see Cena Orton again, but what better person to do it to than a returning Cena?
Friendly bet.
Okay.
First person to take an RKO back.
Oh, Bo Dallas. No question.
Heath Slater.
You're right. You're absolutely.
We're both on the same social outcast. How about the social outcasts interrupt John Cena? And then Randy Orton interrupts the social outcasts, interrupting John Cena. And then we have a tag match players. It's the social outcasts going 1-on-1 with Cena and Randy Orton, or 2-on-2. But
no, how about we have the social outcasts versus Cena and Randy Orton and
Kane.
Wait. And
Steve Blackman.
Say, stop.
Go ahead.
And they say,
I'm excited.
And they're like, well, we're going to need, we might as well even the odds. They're talking to Shane or Stephanie, whoever is the babyface for that minute. And they're like, well, just, see who you can find. And then everybody's come out, and Orton and Cena motion to the screen, and I am phenomenal. Makes sense.
Bray Wyatt.
No, God, I hate you. I hate you right now.
The Boogeyman would be great. It would make sense.
Everyone knows what I was saying, and you do too, AJ Styles. So
all right.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a week to think here and come up with some Money in the Bank scenarios for next week.
Yeah.
Maybe by then we'll know who the 7th person is and stuff like that, and we can kind of interject and come up with some real possibilities, some real winners, some real losers, and kind of long play it and say like
some real losers.
Real losers. Long play it and say like, well, who do we think's going to win? When do you think they're going to cash it in? And who's going to be the champion when they cash it in? We'll kind of do something fun like that, kind of like a friendly bet, like we have with you're saying Bo Dallas takes the first RKO. I'll say Heath Slater takes the first RKO.
Yours makes more sense because Slater takes everything. He just takes. he really does. But they're off making a movie now. So
who's they? The whole social outcast?
The social outcast. Remember? You didn't. Yep, that was a YouTube thing. So YouTube
doesn't exist. It's non-canon.
Yeah, Raw Aftermath. Raw Aftermath. Heath Slater says he's gonna make a movie, or he's gonna go make a movie, and then what is it? Curtis Axel is just like, what's he so mad about? And Bo's like, I don't know. Let's go make a movie. Like all just wide eyed and happy, and he walks off, and then Axel's
They're
like,
so good.
okay, and he just like they're like, let's just follow the leader. This will be great.
Now, comedy has been lost in WWE for a long time, where it's like it's been there, but then it's just kind of like never followed through on, or can kind of disappear at any second.
It's just
They seem to
creeping
be-
back in so well.
I know, but they seem to be like the most comedic, like tandem that feeds off of each other so well.
Yep.
That's like so underutilized.
Sure.
Like back when Santino was like the best, like even him like could or could not appear week to week.
Sure.
Like, there's such a good place for them, and then they're devoting all this time for the Golden Truth, who are on the way to headline WrestleMania 33 and win the tag team titles.
Yes.
They suffered another loss today in that storyline, so they're on their way, and I think they'll achieve it and be the champion at WrestleMania 33 in the main event. They might even beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33 and get titles at the same time.
In the same exact match.
Right, because that's how big this story. That's like the long play of the storyline. It's got to culminate to something that magnitude. They've got to beat a team of Brock Lesnar and Undertaker for the tag team titles in Hell in a Cell.
In a flaming Hell in a Cell.
Flaming Punjabi prison Hell in a Cell. It has to happen. So.
Oh, well, I think we're done.
No, one more thing.
Larry is totally filibustering.
One more thing.
I'm not even going to listen to you.
No. This is a real thing. It's on the note card. So I have to say it. The notepad.
Okay.
If Alex Riley and Damian Sandow had a love child, what would his name be?
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Elias
good evening.
Sampson. Come on.
You're right.
Get off my computer. Headset's going down.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke, and he quit. So I guess we're done.
Drop the headset.